All right, so now for our special topic of the week, commodities. You can see my cat has decided to join us for the rest of it. I tried to kick him out and it failed. So the interview on Moodle is with Karen Ewing, who is the Assistant Director of Procurement at the City of Charlotte. She's worked in this field for over 20 years and has some great insight into the current state of commodities procurement. So please go read her interview if you would like to, if that's helpful. Okay. So commodities is the term we use for buying physical goods, equipment, and other discrete items. Keep in mind this does not really include technology like software and hardware, which can be confusing when you think about the line between what is and isn't hardware, but that's a lesson for another day. So some examples are like equipment, clothing like uniforms, vehicles, materials, and supplies. So materials like chemicals for wastewater treatment plants and supplies like office supplies and furniture. All of those are commodities. So commodities purchasing was the first procurement type to be formally written into state law, and it's still one of the only types of procurement that is formally outlined and structured in many states. Unlike service contracting, where the evaluation team can choose who to award the work to, commodities projects have to be awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. There are exceptions, like if one bidder doesn't sell all of the items requested in the solicitation, or, as in the case of a fire truck, they don't sell a truck that meets all of the numerous requirements of the solicitation. The award would go to the second or third lowest bidder, or whoever else down the line could meet all the specifications. The award process is also very much more formal. There is a public reading of all the pricing once bids are submitted, that's then posted on the special site, and then, it's just a much more formal process. So because the state statutes couldn't anticipate all the different types of procurements that a municipality may need to make, there are a lot of exceptions to rigid commodities procurement laws. Piggybacking you've probably heard of. It's when one municipality awards a contract based on a solicitation process performed by another municipality. Sole sourcing is when only one company produces or sells a particular product that the city needs. This is used extensively in aviation commodities purchasing because only certain manufacturers make key items used at an airport. Cooperatives are very common these days. They're when a local government procures a good but allows other municipalities to use the resulting contract. They're different from piggybacks because they are solicited with other municipalities in mind, and often there is an administrative fee that the municipalities pay the lead jurisdiction so that that can be a source of revenue for the jurisdiction that has the cooperative. We have a cooperative at the city called the Charlotte Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, CCPA, and we bring in enough money each year to pay for 2 positions. So these cooperatives can be very useful arrangements for municipalities. And the objective is that a small local government like a small town or even a nonprofit agency can use a cooperative purchasing alliance contracts instead of having to do their own procurements, so it saves them from having to hire their own procurement officers for their jurisdiction. State contracts are ones that state governments have solicited that local governments can use. This is particularly useful in North Carolina because the state allows almost all of their technology contracts to be used by municipalities, so you can get a lot So you can get out of having to assess the numerous confusing technology options. Similarly, the General Services Administration of the federal government, or the GSA, conducts numerous procurements each year that local governments can use. For both state and GSA contracts, services can often be found in addition to commodities, but commodities are a lot more common. Services are really hard to put under these types of cooperatives, GSA, or state contracts because most of them require that you use the exact items that were solicited originally, and services have so many different options and ways they can be provided that they don't really lend themselves very well to cooperatives or state contracts. So one thing that I like a lot that Karen Ewing put in her interview is that commodities purchasing is very visible. You can drive down any street in your town and see the fruits of your labor in the garbage trucks, the traffic lights, police uniforms, and even the asphalt that you're driving on. All of those things are commodities, just that jurisdictions purchase to keep the town running, so our department really purchases so many things that you use every single day. One really challenging part of commodities purchasing is during a natural disaster. If there's a big ice storm coming, you have to make sure that your jurisdiction has plenty of road salt and trucks ready to go, because if you run out, you'll be competing with all the other jurisdictions in your area that didn't plan properly, and the price of the items you're buying can go up. This isn't necessarily shady, this just means that if road salt is in high demand, the commodities price is going to go up, and so the price at which you're going to get it is going to increase as well. So I have a lot of respect for people that do commodities purchasing, but I have to say I preferred my side, the service contracting, because buying goods is very rigid and structured. You often have to award contracts to companies that aren't the highest quality, but since they were the lowest bidder, you still have to go with them. That being said, I do think it's fun to buy big equipment like fire trucks and helicopters. That can be pretty exciting. So that is the end of this week's lecture. Don't forget to do your assignment on performance measurements and the discussion questions of the week, and I will see you next week.